Gentlemen, this past winter was very cold and there was a lot of snow, and the snow stayed on the ground for a long period of time. I was very frustrated in some questions I asked of our council members for the winter. The snow removal along the sidewalks in downtown was limited because it was done by the town and it was about 4 feet wide. The snow removal on the street in downtown is done by the region, and the region pushes the snow up onto the sidewalk. So the sidewalk in front of the barber shop and the CIBC has steps going down, and you couldn't get down to the street because the snow was not so high, and it was like that for 2 whole months. My question that I gave to the the town council members was, why can't you plow that or have it picked up and taken away? It's hurting our downtown. I was told it's the region's responsibility to clear the road, but what they did was clear it onto the sidewalk. Now, as I understand it, the downtown area is a regional road, and yet Elm Street, which is the natural extension of Regional Road 81, Old Highway 8 comes down to Canadian Tire, to Canada Trust. That's a town road. Why can't we have a switch so at least we can get the town to clear the road and the sidewalks?
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. You have articulated some of the frustration I have felt as the IH chair, and I'm sorry to keep going on about that role, but it has been a problem with the region responsible for one portion of the road and the town responsible for the sidewalk, and an ongoing headache for phone calls that not only you're making to your town council, but are made to the DIA chair and our executive director. My point when I talk about rationalizing services and making sure that we're getting taxpayers' value for what we're getting from the region, that's a perfect example where there's an opportunity to work together, whether that is a joint service agreement or joint use agreement, where we take responsibility for that section of road, because we're already there plowing it for portions of it anyway. We're going down Elm Street and missing it and around it, and at the same time coordinating with the cleaning of the sidewalk. So you're not pushing it up and pushing it down and pushing it up all winter long. So I think we have an agreement with street sweeping for the most part. If we sweep regional road, we can build a region for those services that we've done for regional roads. There's the same sort of opportunity is there for rationalizing those sort of snow removal services, and I hope to continue that if you're elected regional council.
This is not a new problem. The manner in which it can probably be addressed in the best way is in order to have the local council, public works staff put together what they feel would be the best method of solving it. And that might simply be to say, okay, the region plows the road, piles the snow on the sidewalk, the municipality has to do the sidewalk. What really needs to happen is for that snow to be removed completely. And the question then becomes that, as I say, if our public works for the town could put together something that says maybe, will they remove it, or will the region, or if the town's going to do it, will the region pay for it? It's basically the snow from their road. And so that's, again, we were talking about sitting on the public works. That's one of the obvious rationalizations that sitting on public works is important because of some of these issues like the snow, and it has to be dealt with in such a manner that it's not uncomfortable both for the shops and for the customers of the shops, because some of the shops feel they're losing customers because of it. So it's something that has to be dealt with.
Can you guarantee that it'll be done this winter? We don't start till December 1st.
Yeah.
That's fine. December 1st.
Well, again, it's a matter maybe of regional council and the mayor working with the local council to put forward something that could be taken to the region.
This is not a new problem. Why haven't previous councils and previous members of the region taken care of it?
Good question.
I have a little bit of a different problem. I live on the mountain. We get children all the time, so I don't feel sorry for downtown. the traffic on the mountain. You always talk about what you're doing downtown, but we're taxpayers too, and it never seems to be done enough for us. We've had several deaths in the past 15 years occurring at the corner of Mountain and Kemp Road. The last one was a week and a half ago with a 16-year-old boy being killed. This is just about enough as far as we're concerned. We are taxpayers and we want recognition up there. We've got people motoring up and down our side roads from 100 miles an hour and up. We have motorcycles going up and down with young kids on them, UTVs cutting through our fields. We have no police protection up there as you have in town. When we call for a police officer, it takes from 30 to 60 minutes to get somebody up there. This is because we do not have enough police protection for this size of this town. This town is growing. We need more police protection in our town. We've got horseback riders up there. There's no signs on our roads saying slow down. There's horseback riders. I watch them ride by my house at least once a day with horseback. Myself, I've had to jump in a ditch with my dog because I almost got hit with a car, walking my dog on the side road of Kemp Road East. Maybe we need another mayor. Maybe we need one below the mountain and one on the mountain. One who can take care of us up there. Or maybe we need to hold our taxes in escrow for a good 2 years until something is done for us up there. When you don't get our taxes down here to use for all the goodies that's going on in town and we're getting nothing, maybe something will be done for us.
Could I ask that you direct a question, specific question?
Well, that is the question. Why is something not being done for us people on the mountain?
Okay.
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Why is my timing off already?
No, I thought, I lost track, my apologies. To answer your question a couple ways, because there was a lot in there. As someone who does live just on Ridge Road, I consider myself a mountain person, although not quite above as high as what, but I've seen what you're talking about, the roads, the traffic, the high speed that's running on the highways. I find it difficult to take my kids for bike rides just because of the traffic situation. So I am sympathetic to what you're saying. I'd like to address two parts of that. One of the things about rationalizing the value for services we get, 60% of your taxes goes to the region. 50% of the region's budget is policing. So that means for every $1,000 you spend in property taxes, $300 is funding the police services board. So the question we have to ask in Grimsby is, are we getting the value for service and the policing and the services that we need from the region? And my feeling is no. When you call people because there's speeders coming along Ridge Road or up the mountain or across church at Kemp, we don't have that level of patrolling that we need. And I think we need to go back to community-based policing. We have changed over our staff sergeant so many times that we don't have the same rapport that we used to have when our staff sergeant was here a long time. So I think as the regional council who oversees that police services budget and the police services board, I would hope to try to address that particular issue. Some of the other issues you talked about, road quality and science, maybe we'll get to in a couple other questions, but I'm being waved along. But I think you have a valid point that the services that we should have in the mountain should at least be at par with what's getting below the mountain.
Well, I don't think that it would take very much money to put a four-way stop sign at the corner of Kemp Road to start slowing some of that traffic down. How many more children are going to get killed there? We have school buses that stop at that corner and children get off there and walk down Kemp Road to come home. I don't want to find another child lying in the ditch.
It's obviously a serious issue, and certainly sitting on the regional council, would be a matter of having to take it up with the Niagara Regional Police and, if necessary, get the support of the regional council so that they would provide a couple of things. And mainly, of course, it's the traffic control. Usually, if there's an area where there's speeders or if there's different types of issues like that happening, if the police spend more time on that road, that they are able to generally slow it down. And from the sound of what you're telling us, that hasn't been happening. And the idea of some signs certainly can be brought forward as well. And I'm not living on the mountain, so, but I have heard the same comments from other people on the mountain, and certainly that is something that I was elected as a regional councillor, that I would try to get the police to do more, and again, to alleviate the problem as much as possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your question.